Welcome to Channel 17, the Town of Colonie Government Channel.
Hello and welcome to Focus on Health. I'm your host, Peggy Mello. Today's guests are Siobhan Kent and Terry Segel with the American Red Cross. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thanks.
Siobhan, let's start with you. What do you do for the American Red Cross?
Well, I'm the communications manager for the Northeastern New York chapter, and we actually serve the entire Northeastern New York region. So we serve chapters from Dutchess and Ulster counties all the way up to the Canadian border. And for the Red Cross, I provide services like graphic design, media relations, newsletters, disaster response for our media relations, and everything else that you can imagine. And then I also work with very, very talented local volunteers to get all of that done.
Great. Okay. And Terry, what do you do for the American Red Cross?
Well, I started about 10 years ago. I was a volunteer for their National Aquatic School, and I was teaching sailing. And then last year I retired, and so now I took training, and I'm teaching First Aid, CPR, and AED to lay responders and for professional rescuers. And then just a couple weeks ago, I started teaching Scrubby Bears to preschoolers, where we teach them about germs and how germs spread and how to wash their hands and how to sneeze into their arms. And it's really cute.
Great. Siobhan, what about a little bit more detail about the chapter of the American Red Cross?
Well, we're located in Colonie, and that's our only fixed site office. We teach classes throughout the community, and of course we have blood drives and we hold classes everywhere that you can possibly imagine. But our only real office is right here in Colonie, and our local chapter is 100 years old in 2010, so we're celebrating our big birthday. I think we don't look a day over 99. And we have always held true to our mission of helping people prevent, prepare for, and respond to emergencies, and also giving disaster relief to victims of disasters. And we encompass a very wide range of services, ranging from local and national and international disaster relief. We teach classes like all of the classes Terry's going to talk about with our CPR and First Aid and lifeguarding and water safety. We have our National Aquatic School every summer, which is going into, I believe it's 45th year this year. We teach learn to swim classes. We teach classes on emergency preparedness for people and for organizations. We support our community through blood drives and ensuring that we have a safe blood supply in this area. And we also provide advocacy for seniors through a range of programs involving long-term care facilities and also telephone reassurance programs. And there are probably some things I'm leaving out too, but that's just the tip of the iceberg for the Red Cross. And then, of course, we accomplish all of that through the work of all of our locally trained volunteers. And we have about 1,200 local volunteers who help us make all of that happen.
Wow, that's a big number.
Yeah.
Now, just in case people don't realize, the American Red Cross is international, right?
We are. The Red Cross is international, and there are actually two divisions of the International Red Cross. We have the International Federation, which helps with disaster relief, things like the earthquake response in Haiti and Chile. And then we have the International Committee of the Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, and that helps with international conflict, so things like upholding the Geneva Conventions and ensuring that prisoners of war are treated equitably around the world. That's what the International Committee does. And the American Red Cross is a society in both of those organizations. And so we support the work of the International Red Cross all around the world.
So let's say, for instance, there's a house that burns down and 20 people are left homeless. What would the American Red Cross do to respond?
Well, first we would get the call from either the fire department or possibly the police who are on the scene. Sometimes it's from a neighbor, but generally from the fire department. And we would send out either one or a team of volunteers to go out and talk to the people who live there and find out what their needs are. And their needs can be, they can range from maybe they just need shelter for the night and then they can get back into their homes the next day, or in a lot of cases, their homes have been destroyed and they have nothing left. And so in those situations, we would give them financial assistance for things like food and clothing and medications. We would also provide them with temporary shelter, possibly in a motel, or we would set up a shelter for larger disasters. We also provide crisis counseling, and we also connect them to longer-term aid organizations in the community, because the American Red Cross provides emergency aid for victims of disaster, but there are lots of organizations that provide longer-term aid, like the Department of Social Services and some of the other wonderful local agencies that we have. So we'll work with them to make sure that they get connected to all of those services. And we keep checking back in on them and find out how they're doing, do they need a little bit more aid from us, and how can we help them in other ways too. So we really try to make sure that nobody gets left out in the cold after a disaster.
You have 1,200 volunteers, and then however many staff that you
About
have.
22 staff members.
22 staff serving 868,000 people.
Yeah, we cover an 8-county area, and that's just our chapter. That's not including the community chapters who go from the Mid-Hudson Valley all the way up to the Canadian border. So that brings our number of staff up to about 50, and our number of volunteers up to about 2,000. So we have a very, large volunteer base in this area, a lot of really committed local people who want to make their communities better and safer. People like Terry.
Okay, now we're going to talk about mostly health and safety classes today, right? You gave kind of a rundown, but where are the classes taught, and is there a fee for the classes?
There's a fee for pretty much all of the classes, and the fees can vary. It really depends on the class that you're taking and the level that you're taking. But a basic rundown of where our classes are taught. We have 5 fixed sites. One of them is our office in Colonie, and we teach classes there all the time. And then we also have locations around the community in places like Johnstown and Schenectady and in Hudson, classes all over the place. And then we also teach classes everywhere you can imagine. We teach them at a lot of schools, a lot of YMCAs, a lot of community centers. And the easiest way to find out where all of those classes are is to just go to our website and find the class that you're looking for, and then it'll give you a long list of locations. So we try to make it as easy as possible because we do cover such a large area. So we try to offer classes in as many areas as possible.
Okay. And if you can just mention, kind of give the rundown of the classes again.
Sure. Well, we cover a lot of different areas, as I mentioned. So the classes range from CPR and First Aid, as Terry's going to talk about in a little bit. And those are segmented into, whether you're somebody who's training to become a professional rescuer, like an EMT, or somebody who's going to be doing workplace safety, or just somebody who wants to learn CPR and First Aid just to have those skills, which is always a wonderful thing. We teach lots of different variations on those classes for adults, for infants, for children, and even for pets. We teach Pet First Aid. And then we also teach a wide range of water safety classes. We teach learn to swim programs that are good for children and for families. We offer even some free programs during the summer in Albany and Schenectady with our learn to swim programs. We also offer lifeguarding classes. We train virtually all of the lifeguards in this area. They get their professional rescuer certifications from the Red Cross. And then we also teach a lot of other classes in things like medication administration, in workplace safety, in caring for a loved one. Maybe if you're a home caregiver, we have classes in that too. And we just introduced a couple of new classes. We have just introduced CPR Made Simple, which is a 2-hour CPR class that teaches the basics. It's not for certification. It's just a quick, low-cost 2-hour class that people can take so that they can learn the skills and know what to do in an emergency situation. And then soon we're going to be offering a class in remote and wilderness first aid, which teaches skills for people who are in areas that don't have medical facilities right by to help people respond to emergencies until they can get professional rescuers in the area.
And the babysitting class, what do they learn in that?
A lot of different things in the babysitting classes, and I'm glad that you mentioned that. Our list of services is so long, sometimes I leave things off. With the babysitting classes, we teach that for students aged 11 to 16, and they learn things like choosing age-appropriate activities for children, how to care for children, choosing the right snacks, ways to resolve conflicts with children, and then they also learn
Conflicts?
Yeah,
How could there be conflicts?
yeah, kids never fight together, but and they also learn things that I think are really excellent skills for any young adult to learn, things like writing a resume and presenting themselves professionally, things like that I think are just wonderful skills for any young adult to learn.
How old do they have to be to take the class?
11 to 16.
Oh, okay. Now, Terry, what do you want to mention about the National Aquatic School?
Oh, that's one of my favorites. I started there as a student, and then I became an instructor. Then I became an instructor trainer, which means I get to teach instructors, people how to be instructors. And I'm the dean of the sailing program. But we also have canoeing, kayaking, lifeguarding, and water safety instruction that we do. It's always the last week of June in the summer. A lot of kids will take these because they'll be working at summer camps. So they'll want to get these skills so that they can run programs at a summer camp or be a lifeguard at a pool. And so we always teach it right at the end of school, at the end of the school year. Also, it is all volunteers. I mean, that's what I was so impressed with. It got me involved in the Red Cross. The entire aquatic school is organized, administered, and run by volunteers. And many of those people give up a week's vacation every year from their jobs to volunteer at it, as I used to do. And it's just really a great thing. And if somebody wants to learn these skills in a week, it's a week-long program, very concentrated, but it's really a great course.
Good. Okay, now, Terry, I have another question for you. If somebody signs up for a life-saving class, what would they expect to see?
Well, we teach, the First Aid CPR AED class. It's like an 8-hour program. And I'm surprised, since I've, taken the training and been involved, at how often I really use these skills. I mean, they're just, for all stages of life in everyday situations that you might come across. Teach everything, if you're in a restaurant and someone's choking, or you're at a picnic and someone's choking, what to do. Once training, a big part of the training is deciding to act and overcoming barriers that people might have that prevent them from acting. So by taking the training, we really help them get over those, and so they feel empowered, they know what to do, and they respond accordingly. But, there's the cardiac chain of survival. If someone's having a heart attack, again, how to recognize that and what to do. There's a lot of AED, which are automated external defibrillator machines now in public restaurants, airports, schools, golf courses. So knowing how to use one of those. Every minute that an AED is delayed, there's a 10% less chance of survival. So it's important to have one of those handy to know how to use it quickly.
And sometimes it's an environment where the employees are trained on the AED, and you're not allowed to touch it. Or that's something that you can actually take off the wall and use yourself, right?
They are made to be simple, and once you turn them on, they tell you what to do, to place the pads, plug it in, So they're really made to be simple for everyone to use. I mean, but it is really good to take the training, because then you're very comfortable with what to do.
And we have a video clip that we're going to insert right now. The 4 items in the cardiac chain of survival.
Correct.
But the name of the clip is Signals of a Heart Attack.
Yes.
We should tell our viewers that it's for demonstration purposes only, and that they should sign up for the Red Cross class.
Yes, there's a lot to the instructor-guided practices that we do to make sure that you're doing the technique properly.
Okay. So let's watch our video clip right now.
Okay, I got the tables all set up on the patio. What's next?
We'll do plates, cups, and plastic if you don't mind.
Okay, great.
And we'll do cake and presents after they've eaten outside, okay?
Rita, you feeling okay?
I'm fine. I've just been tired lately. We better get moving. We've got a lot to do.
Okay, I'll finish up outside.
Thank you.
People who are having heart attacks may not recognize even the most obvious signals. And even if they do think something is wrong, they often deny that they might be having a heart attack. They will try to ignore the signals, hide them from others, or try to find other reasons for the way they feel.
Mom, what's wrong?
Nothing's wrong. Just finish the decorations so we can... Gotta set this table. Come on, let's get going.
Heart attacks are the leading cause of death for both men and women in the United States. Many people die within 1 hour after the first signals appear. Proper care for a heart attack depends on recognizing the signals early and taking immediate action. The most obvious signal of a heart attack is chest discomfort or pain, but many women feel no chest discomfort at all when they are having a heart attack. The most significant signal of a heart attack is chest discomfort or pain. It could start as an uncomfortable pressure or tightness, or it could be a severe pain. The pain is often in the center of the chest, behind the breastbone. Pain may spread to the shoulders, arm, neck, jaw, or back. Other signals include sweating, nausea, shortness of breath, and general ill feeling or appearance. Women often experience different types of signals when they are having a heart attack. Like men, they may feel pain or pressure in the chest, but many women feel no chest discomfort at all. Instead, they may feel pain in other areas of the upper body, including the arms, back, neck, jaw, or stomach. Other common signals of a heart attack for women are unusual fatigue, shortness of breath, weakness, cold sweat, and dizziness. By recognizing the early signals of a heart attack, knowing what to do and responding quickly, you could save someone's life.
Mom, are you sure you're feeling okay?
Yeah, they'll get a touch of the flu, that's all.
Mom!
Rita? What happened?
She just fell.
Rita? Rita? Can you hear me? Megan, call 911 and tell them your mom's unconscious.
In a cardiac emergency, every second counts. Remember the 4 links in the cardiac chain of survival to guide your response. Early recognition and access to the emergency medical services system, early CPR, early defibrillation, and early advanced medical care. The first link in the cardiac chain of survival is early recognition and access to the emergency medical services system.
It's my mom.
Recognizing that an emergency exists and calling 911 or the local emergency number activates the emergency medical services system and gets help on the way quickly.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Early CPR is the
6,
second link in the cardiac chain of survival.
10, 11, 12.
Performing
13.
CPR keeps blood containing oxygen flowing to the brain and other vital organs and can help delay brain damage and death.
1, 2, 3,
She's in here.
5.
How long have you been doing CPR?
About 4 minutes.
Alright, I want you to keep giving CPR while I get the AED ready. I'll let you know when to stop, okay?
The third link in the cardiac chain of survival is early defibrillation. Automated external defibrillators, AEDs, analyze the heart's rhythm and, if necessary, can deliver an electrical shock to the heart. This shock, called defibrillation, may help the heart reestablish an effective rhythm.
Everyone, clear. Press flashing button.
Preparing to shock. Everybody needs to scoot back.
Early advanced medical care is the fourth link in the cardiac chain of survival. Professional responders have the advanced knowledge, tools, and medications to continue the life-saving care you have already given.
Mom!
Rita? What happened?
She just fell.
Rita?
In a cardiac emergency, when every second counts, your decision to respond quickly, using the links in the cardiac chain of survival, could mean the difference between life and death.
5,
How long have you been doing CPR?
About 4 minutes.
Alright, I want you to keep giving CPR while I get the AED ready. I'll let you know when to stop, okay?
All right, Terry, anything else to add about the video?
Well, just as the video pointed out, the symptoms can be very different from a woman than a man. We typically, in men, they do get the chest pain and the chest pressure. May not be as obvious for women as we saw in the clip. And then it's important just to respond quickly to start that chain of survival.
And you just never know what's going to happen. If you're ever in doubt, call
Yes,
911.
definitely call.
Right? Okay. But there's a whole list of modules that you go through in the 8-hour class. That's
Correct.
just one of them. What would the format of a CPR and first aid class be?
Well, it's a classroom setting. You come in, we have a workbook that we give you, and it's good, you know, for you to take home and has all of the skills in it as reminders. We also give a little keychain breathing barrier and gloves in here so that you can always have that with you. And then we teach you how to check an unconscious person, how to care for them. I mean, there's just so many different modules. The ones that we're seeing are only one of about 30 that we teach during the 8-hour day. So it's everything for conscious choking, unconscious choking, CPR, AED, and then a variety of first aid modules on someone who may have fallen and been injured. The leading causes of injury-related deaths are motor vehicle accidents, drownings, poisonings, falls. So all those things that could happen common, you know, even in your everyday life around your home are things that we will teach you how to respond to.
Yeah, and we've definitely had medical emergencies in the library too.
Yeah.
So you just never know when it's going to happen.
Right.
We have one other clip to show right now, checking an unconscious adult. But let's just say that, number one, we don't have time to run through the entire adult CPR.
Right.
Because how long is it?
Yes.
15 minutes?
Just the video and then the practice. We usually allow about 2 hours, which is why the CPR Made Simple is a 2-hour course. We allow that long just for the CPR portion of the class.
All right, so now we're going to start our checking an unconscious adult clip.
Every day, thousands of people suffer medical emergencies as a result of accidents or illness. Most require some kind of immediate help. You may witness an incident or arrive after the incident occurs, and you may not always know what is wrong with the person who needs care. Finding an unconscious person can be a frightening experience, but with the proper training, you can help replace fear with positive action. Hello, I'm Ryan Sands.
And I'm Connie Harvey. Along with your classroom instructor, we're here to show you the skills you'll need to provide immediate care for a person who is experiencing a medical emergency.
You're already familiar with the emergency action steps: check, call, care. In this lesson, we'll be practicing how to check an unconscious person for life-threatening conditions. You'll learn how to check the scene for safety, how to check for consciousness, how to make the call for help, how to roll a person into a face-up position, how to open an airway, when to give rescue breaths, how to check for signs of life, and how to place someone in a recovery position. Depending on the circumstances in which you find the person, you may need to use just a few or all of these techniques.
Okay, we should note that the unconscious adult is the beginning of the process. If somebody has no pulse, no breathing, you're going to start that for adult CPR.
Yes. We teach some very simple methods, and the first one is check, call, care, where we check the scene just to assess how many victims there are and what stages they may be in conscious or unconscious, so that when we call it in, which is the second step, we can give that information to the dispatcher, and then they will know what kind of assistance is needed and how many will be needed. And then the care portion is a lot of it, and that's where we have to determine what's wrong and give the appropriate care.
And to me, having taken lots of first aid classes, the checking is very important for the responders' health, isn't it? Because if
Yes.
there's anything that's dangerous,
Yes.
you're not going to be of any help when you're electrocuted.
Correct. The first thing we try to do, well, we try to teach some preventative measures first. You know, we give some information on that. But once a situation happens, we want it to be safe for both you, the responder, and for the victim. So we do teach a lot of how to keep the scene safe for you and for them, and then things with disease transmission by using the breathing barriers, you know, when you're giving breaths. And we just teach a lot about disease prevention, but the risks are low and the rewards are great. So
Now, there's adult CPR, and what are the other modules for CPR?
Yes.
Under 12 and under 1?
Child and infant. Adult for CPR is 12 and older. Child is ages 1 to 12, and then an infant under the age of 1. For the AED, the adult is over the age of 8 or 55 pounds. That's the way the equipment is made. And usually in the AED, there's both pads for adults and then pediatric pads for children.
Okay. And what are the different topics of first aid that are covered in the class?
There's a lot of topics in first aid, everything from wounds, broken bones. We teach splinting, but really it should only be if the victim has to be moved. Otherwise, we should just call and wait for advanced care to come. But as with the remote wilderness, which I think is part of the reason also they came out with it for people who are hiking or, you know, or back in the woods, they would need those skills more because they would have to be able to splint the person in order to transport them and get them to, you know, a safe place. So we do teach those, but we teach about burns, the different kinds of burns, whether they're chemical or heat, electrocution, lightning. And we teach about insect bites,
Allergic
snake
reactions.
bites, allergic reactions. There's additional modules that the Red Cross has on how to administer an EpiPen or an asthma inhaler if people have those medications. So there's a lot of different courses in the first aid portion.
All right. One of the things I want to quickly mention is the poison control number that any of you who are at home should write down.
Yes.
If they don't have it written down.
If you think that someone has been poisoned and they've ingested something or inhaled something, we should call the poison control number. It's 1-800-222-1222. And they will guide you because in some instances you may want to induce vomiting. In other instances you don't. And the Poison Control Center will help you to, you know, what happened and what action you should take.
Okay. And can you just quickly go over the FAST technique for stroke?
Yes. I learned this in my training, and it came in very handy one day for my own personal use. My mother called me at work and said my father wasn't feeling well and could I come by. I left, I went there, and I thought he might have been having a stroke. He was sweating and he looked pale and he looked a little droopy in his face. And so I did the FAST technique, which is face, arms, speech, and time. So with the face, ask the person to smile to see if they're drooping on one side of their mouth. You ask them to raise both their arms to see if one arm, you know, doesn't raise as high as the other one. The speech, you ask them to say a simple sentence like, today is Wednesday, just to see if they're slurred in their speech or not. And then the time factor is to call 911. If you think someone's having a stroke, call. I did call. Luckily, my father, it wasn't a stroke, and I didn't think it was after doing the FAST technique, but we called to be sure, and it turned out he just had a bad infection that was causing him those problems.
That must have been scary.
It is scary, but you know, knowing what to do just makes you so much calmer. I mean, that's the thing about the training. It just, you know, makes you know what to do so you don't panic and you stay calm and you do it.
So if someone thinks they're having a stroke or a heart attack at home, they shouldn't drive themselves to the hospital, right?
No, and they shouldn't do what I did either. The other day, I had a friend take me to urgent care, and urgent care called the ambulance and took me down to the emergency room. So you really should just call 911 if you think there's any chance of you having a heart attack.
Well, I had a friend tell me that she drove half an hour through traffic in rush hour to get her husband with chest pain to the ER.
Yes. The thing with the ambulance and the paramedics that come is they have the equipment with them. So they're at your house within a matter of minutes with equipment that can help save your life.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else you want to add on the first aid and CPR classes? Or are we all set with that?
I think we're pretty much set.
Okay. And just one other question. How long does the certification last?
The first aid certification is good for 3 years.
Okay.
The CPR AED is good for 1 year. And the reason for that is if you don't use those skills, you may tend to forget, and it's good to have a refresher every year on those.
I would like to know statistics on how much we actually forget and how soon we forget it.
I'm sure there are stats on that. I don't know them off the top of my head.
But I know. I think that renewing on an annual basis is a really good thing. Because it is going to be drilled into your head.
And as I said, it gives you that confidence knowing that you know what to do and when you respond.
And one last question, Terry. What are the best ways to keep an emergency from happening? What do you think?
Well, those are a lot of things, again, that we cover in the training. And as we go through every module, we try to address first how to prevent those things. So everything from even like heat exhaustion, you know, making sure you drink water at the first signs of a headache or sweating, you know, think that, oh, I should get to a cool place and take a drink of water for a few minutes. So something as simple as that. To things with asthma, you know, following your doctor's care, following their order, carrying your medication if you have heart problems. If you're diabetic, letting people know so that should you be having an incident, they know what to do, that you know what medical problems you may be experiencing. So all throughout the course, we try to teach preventative, you know, for heart things, diet and exercise and all the things that we all know about but need to be reminded of.
So it's basically follow your doctor's advice, keep your house safe, make sure you're not going to trip over anything or choke on anything.
And especially with children, I mean, you know, the number one cause of choking right now is hot dogs for children. You know, they don't chew them properly, they take a big bite, or they're running or laughing, you know, while they're eating. I mean, all of these things can cause choking. So, again, we teach things like that. We mention those kinds of things so that you can try to take preventative measures.
And I think if I actually had a pool at my house, I would really want to take all of the classes for water safety.
Immediate care for a drowning victim, you can save their life. Very important.
And if anyone's out on a boat, they need a life vest, don't they?
Yes. Well, that's all New York State law in here, but you should always wear your life vest if you're on a boat.
Okay. All right, Siobhan, what about funding for the American Red Cross? How is the American Red Cross funded?
Well, we're funded through a variety of ways. A lot of people think that we're a government organization. They think, oh, well, we just get federal funding and, you know, that's how we run, but that's actually not true. We're not a government agency, although we are chartered by Congress, and we're also not a United Way agency. Although some Red Cross chapters across the country are still United Way agencies, the Northeastern New York chapter isn't. So we do get federal funding, but we apply for grants just like anybody else. That's how we get it. We get state grants sometimes, but not always. We do get United Way funding. If people check off the Red Cross box on their United Way giving forms every year, we'll get funding through that. But the vast majority of the funding that we get is by people in our community making donations. And in this area, we're very, very lucky because people have been very generous with us. They've always been very generous. So even though the last couple of years have been very hard across the country on Red Cross chapters, with a lot of them laying off staff or closing offices, in this area we haven't had to do that because people keep on making those major donations to us and making sure that we're there in the community when they need us.
And I think if anyone can't afford the money donation, they should donate their time, shouldn't they?
Absolutely, yeah. There are lots of people out there who, can't make a financial donation or who also want to give their time or their blood. We have lots of people who are major blood donors who give gallons of blood. We have people who are volunteers who spend more time at the office than I do as a staff member. And that's just another way that people in this area show how generous they are, and they show how much they really care about the Red Cross is by giving their time and their money and their blood.
And how do you thank them enough?
Exactly. It's difficult. There aren't enough ways to thank people. So, but going and talking with you and letting all of those people in Colonie know that we really appreciate them, and letting people like Terry know as many times as possible that we appreciate them. It's just one small way that, we try to let people know how much we value their support.
And there are so many ways to volunteer. I was surprised at all the different things the Red Cross does, and that you can volunteer.
Yeah.
All right, so let's mention the American Red Cross Northeastern Chapter website.
People can find us online at redcrossneny.org, or they can call us at 518-458-8111.
Okay, and that's also where they contact you to sign up for all of the many courses that you offer, right?
Absolutely, yeah. If they're interested in volunteering or taking a class or signing up to give blood or making a donation, they would just go to our website, and it's very easy to find everything.
Okay. Thanks so much, ladies, for coming in.
All right, thank you.
And thanks for all you do for the community. Thanks for watching. We hope to see you next time on Focus on Health.